Now, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the Kenyan Daily Report. Currently, it has been undeniably clear that former Cabinet Secretary and Advisor to President William Ruto, Moses Kuria, is out to get Rigathi Gachagua and his DCP party. But to what extent and to what end is Moses Kuria fighting Rigathi Gachagua? That is the question most of you might ask right now. Now, looking at what Moses Kuria had to say in regards to Moranga's MCA that defected yesterday and joined Rigathi Gachagua when they were supposed to be meeting President William Ruto at the State House. Moses Kuria went ahead to expose that Rigathi Gachagua staged and forced the MCAs to join his side. And I want to read a comment about Moses Kuria's sentiments on regards to that matter before we dive into the real story of the fight and what Moses Kuria and why Moses Kuria is out to get Rigathi Gachagua. Kuria posted on his X account and said this: fidelity to politics is ideology. Fidelity to political ideology is key. On Thursday, I was in the company of many Muranga leaders who were preparing to take delegations to State House. What shocked me was that many DCP affiliated leaders who were calling the State House bound leaders, requesting them to hide their members in their State House list so they can benefit from the 10,000 bounty. I understand State House was 70% DCP members. I think this is immoral. DCP, keep your members out of State House. Be principled. Now, what Moses Kuria is trying to mean is that Rigathi Gachagua sent his people yesterday to receive the money that President William Ruto was meant to give to those that visited him in State House, the people from Muranga County. Remember, it is even said that they never got the said money, that one of the leaders who was given the money to give them ran away with the money. Now, allow me to speak about the battle between Moses Kuria and Rigathi Gachagua. Allow me to indulge you into the happenings that will clearly show you the end game of Moses Kuria in fighting Rigathi Gachagua. Now, taking you back to the year 2024, before Rigathi Gachagua was impeached as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, early in the year 2024, when it was evident that Gachagua was trying to claim his title as the kingpin of the Mount Kenya region, for he was second in command in the Republic of Kenya, the president realized that Gachagua was on the verge of pocketing the Mount Kenya through his narrative of uniting the Mulima or the Mount Kenya people. Here, Ruto had to deploy tactics to curb Rigathi Gachagua's influence. So Ruto deployed his then Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Moses Kuria, to counter Gachagua's influence in the Mount Kenya region. And here, Moses Kuria started his Moses Kuria football tournament, which was a competition that saw all the counties from the Mount Kenya region come together to play football. And in every tournament, Moses Kuria had an agenda to fight Rigathi Gachagua. Rubbishing his union of the Mount Kenya people. Now, then Gachagua, realizing that Moses Kuria was being sent to fight him, he avoided responding to Moses Kuria, who then was his subordinate, because Gachagua held the role as the deputy president and Kuria was a cabinet secretary of public service. Now here, Kuria was being funded by William Ruto to reclaim the kingpinship title from the former president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in the Mount Kenya region. Before Gachagua succeeded in being crowned the Mount Kenya region kingpin, where the table stand is when Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, and indefinitely he was crowned the favorite son of the Mount Kenya region, becoming the immediate Mount Kenya kingpin. And from then, Moses Kuria, having lost his powers as a cabinet secretary, was declared persona non grata in the Mount Kenya region. all the Mount Kenya music events and fundraisings, Moses Kuria was not welcomed. And here he retreated to the corner of launching scathing attacks against Rigathi Gachagua on social media, which saw William Ruto bring him back on board as an economic advisor to the president, until when he recently resigned and came to apologize to the Mount Kenya people, saying he was in no way associated with Ruto and his government no more. Though the people had doubts in him as a mole who was sent to disrupt the politics of Gachagua and dominance of the Mount Kenya region, they listened to him. And the guy, the first chance he got, he started to sabotage Rigathi Gachagua. Now, in his efforts to counter the DCP party growth in the Mount Kenya region, Kuria started selling his Chama cha Kazi party in the region. Recently, he went ahead to field Duncan Mbui as his party MP aspirant in the Mbeere North by-election. Now remember, Duncan Mbui was Rigathi Gachagua's candidate in the said region, but when Rigathi Gachagua withdrew his DCP party from the competition in the Mount Kenya region, Duncan Mbui had to find another alternative. And the alternative that he saw, or when the alternative opened and Duncan Mbui was not to run under DCP party, there is where Moses Kuria chipped in, took Duncan Mbui and signed him as a party member of Chama cha Kazi, and now has gone ahead to field him as his own candidate. Now, what does this tell you? This tells you that Moses Kuria is after Rigathi Gachagua's wholly, because anything that Rigathi Gachagua throws under the wraps, Moses Kuria is there to unravel it. He is trying to fight Rigathi Gachagua at all corners. Now, his reaction to the Murang'a people going, 70% of the people that went to meet the president yesterday being DCP, people that had been organized and sent there by the DCP leaders, is something that we all can now see that Moses Kuria is trying to play the politics of smearing the name of Rigathi Gachagua as a man that doesn't have the influence that we think he has in the Mount Kenya region. Apart from that, I will remind you that Moses Kuria's sudden change of heart and deciding to come back in the Mount Kenya region to start campaigning as early as the year 2025, it tells you that there is a much big plan by President William Ruto to disrupt the people of the Mount Kenya region ahead of the 2027 general election. Rumor has it that President William Ruto is to fund two presidential candidates coming from the Mount Kenya region. The first name that has been always mentioned is the name of Ndindi Nyoro. The second name is that of Moses Kuria, because Kuria, several times he has made it clear that he will be running for president. Remember, in an interview with Jeff Koinange, Kuria said that he will be on the ballot papers come the year 2027. But the question that we will ask, at what end will Kuria get into the ballot papers? Is there just as a means of disrupting the tranquility and the togetherness of the Mount Kenya region votes, so that they won't all vote against President William Ruto come the year 2027. And I dare say that Moses Kuria's party and the influence that it is seeking, all this is being funded by the government of President William Ruto. It is not Moses Kuria himself who is funding himself. No. You know, Kuria at the end of the day is a man that doesn't have character or manners. He subscribes to nothing else but money. So here he is out to get Rigathi Gachagua, and the main reason is to disrupt the voting bloc, the togetherness of the Mount Kenya region voting as a bloc. I would love to see and hear your message in regards to this matter. Leave a message in the comments section. See you in our next video. This is the Kenyan Daily Report.